Okay, male loneliness. Should I say the male loneliness epidemic? How are you guys? Obviously, this isn't particularly relevant to you guys because you're all Sigmas with 8 girlfriends each. But believe it or not, most men are not like that. Most men are kind of having a hard time. Many people are saying this. And apparently Shu's done a video about it. And the problem with this topic is that while it's true that loneliness is a big problem now, and it seems to be more of an issue for men than women in that particular issue, but the problem is that addressing this issue is so difficult because it is just the perfect environment for some of the scummiest snake oil salesman fucking scam fuck like misogynist shitheads to gather up like the loneliest, most vulnerable people in the world to just make a fucking quick buck off of them, basically just not really helping them, but just affirming all their like fucking cognitive distortions and all their fucking delusions about the world, how much they like hate women, how much they want to blame some minority or Jews or whatever the fuck. Ugh. But let's see why Shu got in. And Shu is very let's say hit and miss, you know, because she's a populist, and populists are cringe. So I don't know how populism would affect this, though. Let's see. Let's see if Shu addressed this issue in an insightful, responsible way, or if she just did a shitter. Let's see. Let's go. Place your bets, chat.
I regret to inform you, the men are not okay.
Oh, no.
That's right, folks. The men are not okay. The men have no friends, no girlfriend, no college education, no money, are breaking their legs and inserting metal rods into their bones to be a few inches taller, and listening to AI Batman help them overcome their pornography addictions.
You deserve real love.
Turns out the society that was built—
Wow. She's so quirky and relatable and funny and good looking. Big YouTuber. Whoa. All right, cool. That fucking Batman. What the fuck? All right, let's go.
Built by and allegedly for men has indeed let them down. Now you might be thinking, oh look, another boo-hoo poor men video by Shu on Head.
Oh no.
Yes.
Oh.
And if you have a problem with that, tune into literally anything else. Men are in a crisis, and it seems nobody really cares. And the people who do care just seem like the people who want to sell them shit. Not me. I'm different. So before we get into this, let's quickly get into today's sponsor. Today's sponsor is Holzkern. Holzkern is a young Austrian company that designs unique crafted watches and jewelry made from all natural materials. Their high-quality timepieces come in various designs for both men and women, making them
Hey men, you guys feeling lonely? You feeling skint? Why don't you buy a fucking watch made of natural earth resources, rare earth metals, whatever the fuck, that you can't afford and that you don't have a girlfriend to give them to?
the perfect gift for any occasion. They're a great blend of function and fashion, and overall I just think they look very classy, especially the men's watch collection. I was pretty impressed with the silver casing and blue marble dial of the Naturalist watch, which made for a great gift for my boyfriend. He especially loved the casual yet stylish appearance, making it an ideal choice to wear both at work and at home. I'm also really happy with the watch I picked out. It's made from black and white marble and features a nice black leather bracelet that just feels so comfy.
You know, watches. I don't think I could possibly tell a good watch from a bad watch. Not since G-Shock in the year 2000, which was fucking based. You would just like throw it off things to show people how indestructible it was. And you would like take it swimming because it was waterproof. It was the first time most people had heard of a waterproof watch. Anyway.
They also create elegantly crafted earrings, very unique handbags, sunglasses, and necklaces.
Wow.
Like this rose marble elevation necklace. It makes a really memorable and unique gift for a loved one. All of their products have a
But I don't have a loved one. I'm a man. This is a badly placed advert, I will say.
24-month warranty, and ordering online is super easy with free shipping to the US and most EU countries within 2 to 5 days. So if you want to get yourself a good quality watch and support the channel, I highly recommend checking out their store and clicking the link in the description below. Use my special code SHOE15 at checkout that will give you 15% off for all products store-wide. So go to the link down below and choose your own unique piece of nature. Thank you Holtzgren for sponsoring this video, and thank you the viewer as always for not skipping the ad.
Watches are for flexing, which to be honest I'm not above. That's because you're Middle Eastern, beast. You know what, Middle Eastern, you probably smell better than most women. That's my memory of the Middle East. God. The men do not scrimp on fucking fashion choices in the Middle East. Anyway.
Why are men and boys struggling? And what should we do about it?
A few new studies have come out that have shown that young men are more lonely and single than ever before. But it's not just men. The women and children too. It's predicted 45% of women will be single and childless by 2030. But according to the media, this is a good thing. The she-economy is booming, as they say. And meanwhile, men being single is treated like this.
New study explains why some single men are having a hard time finding a new partner.
Some of the music that they listen to speaks very derogatory.
Right. Yeah, man, stop listening to that derogatory music. Then maybe you won't be single. I don't know, I think men and women being single and lonely kind of shows there might be something wrong with society. Perhaps we should address this, not just wave it off as empowering or pathetic. According to several different articles, I love how that's my source, I read about it on the internet, research shows that people from individualist countries show a greater sense of loneliness. This is linked to socioeconomic development, increased education, a shift towards white-collar jobs, and urbanization. Japan—
You know what I once heard? I once heard that in when it comes to suicide rates, apparently suicidality goes up almost directly with the amount of educational qualifications you have. So like a master's is more likely to fucking commit suicide than a graduate, and a PhD is more likely to commit suicide than a master's. And the reason for it was that the more educated someone is, the more individualistic they are, the more like they don't feel like they fit neatly into any particular like box when it comes to worldview. Box. Now, as a Sigma, I don't understand this problem. But, yeah.
Japan also has an issue with loneliness. In fact, they have a whole movement of people they call the hikikomori. Did I say that right?
These guys are weird.
I don't care. Basically, postmodern hermits. Mostly young men who completely withdraw from society, secluding themselves in their rooms for months and years at a time. In 2010, there was an estimated 700,000 hikikomori in Japan. And today, it's estimated to be about 1.55 million. And because of things like this, people aren't having babies, so Japan's population has been in a sharp decline since 2011. It's gotten so bad that Japan even produces videos of live-action women staring into the camera to help the hikikomori learn to cope with eye contact and reintegrate them back into society. So basically, if you want to know America's future, look no further than Japan. A lot of people, including myself—
Yeah, but what if you just need to, you haven't stared at anyone's fucking eyeballs for a while, you know, you want to get back into it before heading back out. That clip was kind of unsettling. Yeah. Yeah. It is a thing. Like, I've noticed that if you don't socialize for a little while and then you go back out, like, looking at someone's eyes is kind of weird for a little bit. But, I don't know. As an autistic person, I tend to do it not enough or too much. When I remember to, I'll stare at you until you die. But other times I'm just like all over the shop, you know? Does Japan have good welfare? I don't know. I'd imagine they just work and go home if they have jobs. I don't know.
Blame this partially on the rise of social media and technology. RIP to the king. Although technology makes things easier, it can also make us more atomized. Why go to the mall when I can just tap, 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 buy a new microphone and have it shipped to me in a day? Why hang out with friends when I can get all—
What, is Shu buying a new microphone? She's still using a fucking Blue Yeti. Okay.
all my social interaction I need from Twitter and streamers? Why go on dates and bother meeting women when I could just tap, 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 Google big
Tap,
boob
tap,
and
tap.
get 2 million results? Or
Big
see
boob.
my high school crush's holes on OnlyFans for only $5. Instant dopamine, instant satisfaction, and hey, who even needs a real woman when you could just have an AI girlfriend? We're f***ed. We're so f***ed. Dating apps really are the great Satan, and I'm convinced they've completely broken men's brains. Women on dating apps are picky. Women in general are picky, and I mean, naturally we are pickier. You know, we're the ones who carry the babies. At least for now. But on dating apps, you have to admit, it's a little insane. It's safe to say that the commodification of love and the window shopping of dating apps probably has to do a lot with the rise of lonely single men. Men are not just lonely when it comes to dating, they're lonely when it comes to friendship too. According to Vox, Americans are currently in a friendship recession, and men are being hit the hardest. The percentage of men who reported having at least 6 close friendships fell in half since the 90s. 1 in 5 men say they have no close friendships. Looking at all these statistics, the explosion of figures like Andrew Tate is not surprising at all.
I believe being a man is a blessing because it starts so difficult. I believe that every man is born without any value at all. I think that the world's never going to think you're important unless you make yourself important.
And recently, a new study came out about how young men are moving towards the right. And
I just saw this, and everyone was like, oh, you know,
And recently,
socioeconomic conditions, it is not the consciousness of men that determines their being, it's their social being that determines their consciousness. Karl Marx, 1860, cock. Men are sad, and they're becoming more right-wing. Well, those pieces of shit, those fucking lack of personal response, and everyone just immediately becomes like a libertarian when it comes to men. Oh no. It only has 2 options. If you are like a leftist and you get given this question and you just sit there being like, well, I just can't possibly identify with either a liberal or conservative. You're a fucking moron, okay? You don't deserve to be represented in data. Obviously, if the option is conservative or liberal and you're on the left, just pick fucking liberal. You fucking idiot. Like, okay. Golly. 12th grade boys. What happened to these guys here, filling in this space? 2020. Oh, these are the Bernier busters. Damn, though. The liberals are not all right.
a new study came out about how young men are moving towards the right. And every other month, we, the liberal, sockdem, leftists, whatever you want to call the space online, performs the same song and dance. What's wrong with men? Why is this happening? Why don't we have a leftist Andrew Tate? We need to push men to the left. Andrew Tate rarely, if ever, talks about politics. Andrew Tate talks—
Yeah, I know people are saying the data is fucking dubious because there's like, it was only what, 20-something% of men identifying conservative and 10-something, so where are all the other ones going? Okay, fuck,
whatever
thank you.
you want to call the space online.
I would be very, it might surprise you guys to learn that most 12th grade men, how old is 12th grade? It would be very surprising to most of you guys that most 12th grade men are probably apolitical, but
performs the same song and dance. What's wrong with men? Why is this happening? Why don't we have a leftist—
I love the copium, someone like, actually. Actually, 60% of them are all communists in the United States.
Andrew Tate. We need to push men to the left. Andrew Tate rarely, if ever, talks about politics. Andrew Tate talks about men, and the left only talks about men when they talk about Andrew Tate. A few months ago, during one of the monthly song and dances, some progressive people I follow made the mistake of addressing men's issues, and the even bigger mistake of pointing their finger at their own spaces for not doing enough to address said men's issues.
Recently, there were some statistics by healthcare company Cigna indicating that men are the loneliest generation. And addressing it doesn't mean that you turn your back on issues pertaining to women, but it does mean that we should be focused on what it is in society that is leading to this epidemic, what the left can do to offer solutions, and how we can basically fight back against the more nefarious figures who have filled the void that men are struggling with, people like Jordan Peterson and what have you. Now, recently, Vosh, who's a popular streamer, had tweeted this thread that I think is really, really important to address. He writes, "I cannot stress enough how important it is to understand that 12-year-old white boys on Twitch are not being pulled into fascism because of some Machiavellian desire to preserve and expand their privileges. It's because the right talks to them and the left doesn't."
The responses to these tweets in this—
God, Anna Kasparian. She's so relatable and based and good looking and articulate and racist and fat and transphobic. And gay, yeah, fuck that woman. Ugh. I'm joking. How old is that clip? It's probably not. It's not even that old, is it?
This content were very normal, level-headed, and respectful. Me when I lie. LMAO, cry about it. Boo f***ing who? Oh no, poor widow men having problems. Boo f***ing who? Grow the f*** up then. Have men considered being smarter? I'm enjoying—
Oh yeah, no, there are Vosh fans in this chat. I remember that. Like, at least like half of you, right? Okay, TLDR. There are a couple of things Anna did that I disagree with, but in the grand scheme of things, she's not that fucking... She hasn't said anything that crazy, right? That's just not true. Sorry, hot take.
all these sad little moids and their sad little tweets about their sad, pathetic lives. Sounds like a personal problem. Is the lack of compassion for men in the room with us right now? Maybe men are just not good people then. I'm so fucking tired of people trying to make male loneliness a huge societal problem. Yeah, no, their fifis are not my responsibility, and I shouldn't have to be punished because they can't get their shit together as human beings. Grow the up. Why are we trying to win these entitled little predators over? The left isn't for them. That's why they go right in the first place. We're all lonely and alienated. It's young men going to the alt-right in droves. The problem isn't our messaging, it's them. It's literally not our problem. Men flock to Andrew Tate not because they're lonely, but because they're bigots. Hope this helps. Whoa. Nah, it's just misogynists being louder than before and not getting laid. LOL. Lol. Cry harder, losers. 90% of all homicides recorded worldwide were committed by male perpetrators. We should just get rid of all males, to be honest. This includes trans women, as they still retain male violence.
Bro. Despite making up 50% of the how do you not fucking hear yourself? How many men are murderers? Jesus. This includes trans women as they still retain, oh my God. Oh, fuck.
By the way, you know the Tumblr feminists who were like, all men are sexist and rapists, male tears, penises are evil, blah 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 back in the day? Well, this is them now. Should've just let me cook back then. Listen up, chuckle. I'm white, socially awkward, autistic, in my 40s, ugly, overweight, crippled, got a weird balding pattern, and have bad skin. You know what I didn't do? Choose to become a fascist, because I recognize most of the sort that look like me are the problem.
What the fuck? What? Oh, God. You know, fascism isn't the only way that lonely men cope with their issues in an unhealthy way. You notice that, right? Some people will get pulled into the right, but just because you didn't become a fascist doesn't mean you're okay, you know? There are other bad things you can be. Oh, no. The sort that look like me are the... Oh, my God. Ooh.
I may be hideously ugly and pathetic, but at least I'm not a fascist. Thank you for your input, buddy. You're, really helping the situation. The reason young men flock to alt-right MRA movements is because the left gives brain-dead advice to young men.
Oh.
We need to be more compassionate to them, for our own sake. I'm sorry, but how is respect women brain-dead advice? What advice? Don't rape?
I hate this. People do this so much. They act as if the only thing being said by the... Like, if I said something about how male loneliness is like a bit of a problem and the left tends to not be very good at addressing it, I'm clearly not talking about the people who are saying don't rape, you know? It's like someone can go online and just say shit like, oh, men do 90% of all the murders. Men are doing all the fucking sexual assault. Men are all fucking rapists. Men are all like... the reason men go to the right is just because they want to preserve their power in the male patriarchy, you know? Those men who are earning like fucking £10 an hour swiping through 800 people on fucking Tinder to get like 10 matches, maybe 2 of which are conversations, 1 of which they say they're going to meet you, then they ghost you. Like fucking, oh yeah, no, actually all we were saying was don't rape. Shut the fuck up. Jesus Christ. Ugh. Oh, that's minging. Why do people do that?
Don't be a rapist is bad advice? Help, I have no friends or community, I feel suicidal. Have you considered not raping? Act like a decent fucking human being, it's not hard, is brain dead advice? Brain dead advice like, get consent and don't be a Nazi and women are people. Walking up to men struggling with loneliness and depression like...
Kids, don't be racist.
True.
Incredible.
Based.
Here's my actual advice I would give to my teen boys as a leftist. 1. Always get enthusiastic consent. 2. Save the planet. 3. Don't say that. It's actually kind of racist. Like, what the f is this? How does this address men and their issues? It doesn't. Why does their advice always seem to be...
You know what's so funny? And I actually, you know what? Hats off. I know why. It's because she's a charmer, right? So for all the things that ContraPoints got fucked for, I cannot believe she got in that video that she did on men. Remember right at the end, she said something about how, I'll find the clip, about how she didn't feel like she'd actually de-radicalized men at all from the alt-right. She felt that what she'd actually done was re-radicalize them, taken them from the alt-right into the fucking crazy, tanky, communist, revolutionary left, right? She said that. She said that, and obviously that, it's easy to see why men who are struggling might go to that as well, because it has so much of the same stuff, right? Like you've got your great men to fucking like feed your ego, like, oh, I read Karl Marx and Lenin and the black and white pictures and the 100 years old. Like there's that kind, you get that like feeling of intellectual superiority and all that shit. Like it's very easy, and like preaching revolution is all that very exciting stuff. And again, you don't really have to do anything because everything is just lib shit. So you just get to sit back and tweet and be toxic all day. Like, there is obviously like a cope that happens there as well, where like a lot of struggling, like miserable fuck men will just cope by being like radical left instead of right. Like obviously that happens. It's just amazing that she mentioned that and didn't get in trouble for it. I just thought, I feel like that would really piss people off, wouldn't it? Let me see if I can find it. Is it re-radicalized? Let's see. Something about here.
And it's true that if you read the leftist YouTube fan subreddits, I used to be alt-right posts are so common they're considered cliche.
True.
And some of them cite me as an influence in changing their politics, which I love for them and I'm super fucking happy about it, but...
I will say this philosophy tube video was an absolute banger. People should watch it more often, the men one.
It's also a lot of responsibility. They're my boys. And I worry about my boys, because in reality, it's not like they go from far-right extremists to complacent centrists. No, most of them go far left. A lot of them become communists or anarchists. So I watch them go from far to my right to significantly to my left. It's not really de-radicalizing so much as re-radicalizing. And I think it's definitely an improvement, but I still worry it's not going to be enough. I worry about my boys, because I don't think that the left yet has a final solution to the man question. Oh no, that was worded poorly. You know, there's kind of two options the left has for disillusioned men. The first is the Marxist promise of economic revolution. We say, well, actually, yes, you are oppressed, but you're oppressed because of your class, not your gender. So just join the revolution. It's gonna be super fucking crazy. We're gonna overthrow the bourgeoisie, meow, meow, smash, no voting, and then things will be better for you. Now, I think that has a couple limitations. One is that I look at the far left and I see a bunch of people who spend all their time accusing each other of abusing moderator privileges in closed Facebook groups. And I'm concerned that might not succeed at ending capitalism, meow meow. Like, definitely vote for Bernie Sanders or Elizabeth Warren or whoever, but if you're investing all of your hopes in a capital R revolution, I worry that can become like waiting for Godot, or waiting for the rapture. So we do need political change, but I feel like I'm failing my boys if I'm somehow giving them the idea that revolution is their only hope. Because here's the other thing.
Yeah, the only problem with that, though, is that I think a lot of men, or even women, I guess, would like, that's the easier option, right? Did you just call Contra? It's a fucking joke. Shut up. All right. Because Philosophy Tube has videos where she's in like the same costume, lying in this position. And okay. Yeah, I think people find that easier though, right? It's just an identity that makes you feel a bit good about yourself, a bit unique, a bit fuckable. You know, you're not like those other men who watch football and grumble or are misogynistic. You know, you're a leftist. You cool, like whatever. But I think that's actually just a lot. That's just the easier path, because you don't really have to do anything. Like, it is just a badge, and it also gives you carte blanche to be the biggest cunt on the internet. So yeah.
Even if we did succeed at ending capitalism, there would still be gender, and my boys would still need some model of what it is to lead a good life as a man. Now, the other option the left has for disillusioned men is the feminist tranquilizer. We say, look, toxic masculinity is the reason you don't have room to express your feelings, and it's the reason you feel lonely and inadequate. So while feminism tells women you hate your body and you're constantly doubting yourself because society did this to you and needs to change, we kind of just tell men, you're lonely and suicidal because you're toxic. Stop it. We tell them they're broken without really telling them how to fix themselves. I think what we need is a new, positive ideal of manhood, which I don't think is something that women can create for men, even if they wanted to. And honestly, the best way for that to happen may actually be some kind of men's movement. But on the left, the whole idea of a men's movement is basically taboo, because the men's movement we all know is basically just a backlash to feminism. And at worst, it's just straight up misogyny.
What do you mean by all the things ContraPoints got fucked for? Well, I'm pretty sure she got fucked for challenging wasn't it a bunch of non-binary or like xenogender identities? Wasn't that what she said? She said she did some tweets about how she felt like she was one of the last like old school trans people, and like all the new one have like new pronouns, and where someone who's like trans in her situation would maybe rather just get gendered automatically and not have to think about it, whereas the more modern approach is like everyone goes around in a circle giving the pronouns because everyone's more ambiguous, and it's a much more like front and center part of their identity. Yeah, it's all in the cancelling video. Yeah, and the Buck Angel thing, that's what she got in trouble for. She never got in trouble for saying this, even though it's like the people who, a lot of leftists who like ContraPoints today would definitely not like the angle she took there. But anyway, they would call it lib shit. But it's true that back in the olden days, fuck, there's so much shit here. I'm gonna cause a landslide. Hey, all right. Is that in the 1940s, when lots of men were left-wing, Lots of youths were left-wing. Lots of old dudes were left-wing. Lots of working-class people with no education were left-wing. This is a poster from the Daily Worker fucking when they were unbanned. Yeah. Celebrating the lifting of the ban. They were banned in the late 30s, early 40s. This is from 1942. And look at the artwork there. It's very like Soviet-esque with this like very square-shaped kind of guy, almost like Popeye, you know? Can't see it. Fuck off. All right, hang on. See that? That fucking ring light, Jesus. See that guy? Look at him. I think he's got like a gun and an enormous fucking spanner. The ring light's glaring at, but I'm putting it in between the ring light. Don't tell me you can't see that. You guys are gaslighting me. Basically, he's a fucking square-shaped Giga Chad fighting for his rights. It says 100% effort on his spanner and Daily Worker on his back. Yeah, he's beefed. And the thing is that back in those days, those men were really angry about their work conditions and the way that they were paid and the way they were treated, which is why they were unionized and they went on strike a lot and they were often like very revolutionary and shit. But they were also very proud of their position in life at the same time. They were proud of their jobs. They were proud that they were doing something that was skilled, that required like physical strength. I guess when it came to romance, like because women depended on them for income, it wasn't hard to find a partner because women needed to be with them to fucking live. And also just like the societal pressure that you had to get married younger and everything. So it's funny in a way that like back then, the left was able to capture men by appealing to all things today we would consider to be right wing, right? Like men being physically strong, or providers, or like that, the fact that they would get like a woman by default because of the way society was organized. Like, but these are all things that are considered right wing now, and you can't really bring them back. You know, we can't really bring back a societal standard where you get married at 23 or 22. We can't really bring back the high skilled manufacturing jobs that pay enough to buy a fucking house with a 4-year mortgage and to support 2.5 kids. We can't do that anymore. So something needs to change. And I think the reason people are so shitty when it comes to men's issues, especially leftists, is because they don't have an answer. And when you have an answer, you feel kind of impotent about the problem. So you just say, well, you just become a libertarian, you know? We don't have an answer to it because we don't need to have an answer to it. We don't need to have an answer to it because it's just men being shit, you know? And they just become libertarians. It just becomes personal responsibility. And the only reason these men feel lonely or like alienated is because they actually just want all the big male privilege back, which is really not a great way to look at it. Yeah, it's just when people say that, it's just a confession that they don't know the answer, in my opinion. Yeah.
Become a liberal. Hey men, here's how to fix all your problems. Agree with me politically. Men flock to the MRA movement because they're the largest beneficiaries of MRA shit. Imagine saying women flock to women's rights activism because they're the biggest beneficiaries of women's rights. Like, no f***ing shit. Let's be honest. Aside from procreation purposes, men have become obsolete. Most women can find other methods of—
Who is this fucking Mr. Potato Head over here? Like, who do you think's gonna fucking bounce on your knob because you're like shitting on men in this way? It's so gross. Jesus Christ.
achieving orgasm without a man there. And speaking as a man, most of us are horrid to be around, and I don't blame any woman for just saying, no thanks. Oh my god, dude, this is what every Just Pearly Things tweet looks like to me, just with the genders swapped. This is pathetic. You know what fixes male loneliness? Jerking off. As a man, I'll say this. Sit down, shut up, and beat one out. You'll feel better, I promise. Yeah guys, just beat one out, just off, just watch porn. Batman will be very disappointed in all of you.
True.
It's so funny how men feel entitled to a girlfriend. No, you sexist freak. When one side is like, wanting a girlfriend is sexist entitlement, and the other side is like, here's how to get a girlfriend. I don't know, bro. What happened to males just kicking the bucket? Now
it's also this thing about men are entitled to a girlfriend. Like, obviously you're not. You have to work for whatever the fuck, and you have to have someone like you. But at the end of the day, right, is it entitlement to say humans are like a social animal that we have, like, the big thing that I think makes humans, that gives us like our fucking means of survival and sets us apart from all the fucking chimps and the other creatures that are much stronger and more like physically capable than us, is one, we got fucking opposable thumbs, right? And also that we communicate, right? That we have language, that we can share emotional bonds with people and like connect with each other. I feel like human connection is a pretty important thing for anyone, a man or a woman. That doesn't mean you're entitled. It does mean that if there's a problem where like half of men or women can't get a fucking partner, that you should probably call that a problem. That's not entitlement. Show girls your opposable thumb and gift bananas. Like, is it really entitled to say that if it's the case that X percentage of men like just have no idea how to find a partner or to develop a relationship, then they should just then that's a problem that needs to be addressed somehow. Either maybe they need better advice, or there should be better social circumstances in them for them to do that. Like, honestly, a big part of what I blame, and I blame social media just more so than anything else, because like even when I was younger, even when I was like a teenager or like even going into early 20s and all that, if you wanted to make friends, you couldn't just go into a community with a Discord server and all that. You could if you had like a very niche interest, right? Like with fucking online gaming, you could find like an IRC server or like a Ventrilo server or some shit. But honestly, it was kind of shit. You had to go out and find people and mutual interests and for me, it was music. So I went to gigs, right? Or I went to bars that like played the kind of music that I was into, or were themed around the kind of music I was into. And that was like, but I don't know. What do people do today? Do people go to like house parties? Is that still a thing? For people who are like out of school? Or like flat parties? Or do people go to... Do people, like, is it easy enough still to find like I never did student societies, but I'm guessing it's still possible to do that. Ain't no such thing as a house party. An empty? No one ever had an empty when they were... I don't know what people do now. Because even when I was at uni, like, I never went to student societies, but I didn't need to, because I had other friends through music scenes. There were a couple of places I went to that I was able to make most of my friends from like post university and by early 20s. And it was open mic nights and fucking... there was this night called the Blues Jam, where you went, you put your name on a list, said what instrument you played, and you would go up with whoever else was up on the drums or the bass or whatever, and you would just play blues and just jam, or play jazz or some shit. You just make up stuff. And then that was like a really good way to make friends. Or open mic nights for the same thing. But because even if you were like I was, like a socially awkward fuck, like other people would come and talk to you. But I feel like a lot of people just don't know how to do that. Or if you have the kind of interest that you can't see people, you can't find people outdoors or to merge around a shared interest. I don't know. The problem with the UK was that when it came to finding a partner as well, it does take some people a while to realize that like there are places other than like fucking bars and nightclubs that you can go to, but that's always like the default, I think. When it comes to meeting partners, like the default thing that people had in their heads was just going to fucking nightclubs and trying to fucking get in about someone who's like hopefully not too drunk that you're taking advantage of her. Like, fuck that. Yeah. But that's a really horrible way to do it. And you only really get one night stands out of it. And it's shit. But what if you don't like, yeah, exactly. If you don't like those things, then I don't know. Like back when I was younger, it was really easy to find that stuff. Even now though, like now I'm in a situation where I only need like a couple of close friends to be happy. Like I don't need to be part of a big group. I don't need to like go to fucking be part of a group of like 10 or 15 people that goes to like that has parties together or goes out of town together and I don't need that. Like it's just not what I'm into. The bigger the crowd, like I'm not like the kind of guy in like the film who's walking home at night going past a fucking restaurant and there's like a whole big table of people and they're all really happy and I'm just like, oh, what about, like I'm just not like that, you know, because I'm Sigma. I'm big Sigma box. Grumble set. But most people aren't like that. Like most people do need some kind of community. And I guess it is probably quite difficult now to find that. I don't know. What do you guys have problems? I don't know. Fuck. Like, I'm guessing just by what we're watching in this video and what's happening in chat, like, I'm guessing that you guys, that there are probably some people in this chat who have issues with this, like loneliness or finding a partner, right? But like, where does it start, you know? Because the only big problem, like I never had a problem with meeting people. The problem I had when I was like 18 or 19 was getting cues off people. Like the problem I had was that was liking someone and not knowing what to do about it, right? Or even knowing someone very likely was into me, but also not knowing what to do about it. You know, like when do you fucking, how do you ask her out? How do you go in for a fucking kiss and all that bullshit? Like that was the thing I struggled with for like a little bit when I was younger. But like I don't know what people struggle with. So it's difficult for me to like help people, or even you guys don't need it. I don't know. Because every time I hear about streamer communities, they always talk about how like 50% of the people viewing them are like virgins and shit. And I'm like, oh, fuck. Because I know one of the big problems with like incels and loneliness and all that is that a lot of these people in these communities don't really, they feel like they think they've tried everything, but the chances are they probably haven't. But I don't know. What are your issues? Someone tell me something that I can riff off. Oh God. I ended up isolated after a 7-year relationship, made the wrong person my world. Yeah, that's the whole thing. I've only had that happen to me once. I feel like we need to normalize sliding into DMs. I mean, sliding into DMs is pretty fucking normal, isn't it? Isn't it? I find it hard to know if someone's already in a relationship. Just ask. What's wrong with asking someone if they're in a relationship? Is that a bad thing to do? To what? Is that bad? You're no Hamza, LonerBox. Fuck off. I'm afraid of coming across as a creep. Listen, okay, here we go. All right, if we're talking about, because again, people are going to do all the, what about the women? Well, okay, here we go, okay? Here are the problems. It's very, because again, I don't know why. People talk about men's issues and as if it takes away from women's issues. It really doesn't, okay? Here are the problems if you're a woman. If you're a woman, ask any woman you know who's ever used a dating app, okay? Ask her what her last 5 dates were like off of fucking Tinder or Bumble or Hinge or whatever the fuck. And 2 of them will be like fucking horror films. Like you have to get a fucking content warning before you hear what happened. Okay, and I got that'll be 2 of them. Okay, the other 2, how would the other 2 go? Like, Like, it was fine at first, you know, but then we fucked and he came in like 3 seconds, acted as if it was based, and then fell asleep, you know? Some cringe like that. And then maybe 1 is like, actually, you know, I felt like we had something, but it turned out that the lines he was using to make me feel good about myself, he actually used on 3 other people that week, and he's a fuckboy, so whatever. Like, shit like that, probably. There's always just like the amount of shit that if you want to feel good about yourself, ask like one of your women friends to describe like just like her last 2 or 3, 4 or 5 dating experiences off of dating apps, and you will just hear the most fucking baffling shit that men do. It's so weird. Like how the fuck? And out of dating like 20 or 30 people off of dating apps in the last few years, I've maybe had like 1 or 2 people who I thought were just like a little bit odd, like a little bit fucking unsettling to be around. But then you just call it, but for women, that's like a regular thing, right? Like it's very regular. Having women friends, having friends. Oh God, but where was I going with that? Oh my God. But for men, I guess the issue is it's a complete inverse. The problem for men is you put yourself out there, you fucking swipe through about 200 people, you might get like 5 matches, maybe like 3 of those will lead to conversations. 2 of the conversations will just stop abruptly. 1 of them, you might get a date 50-50, maybe like it actually like makes it to the day and you both show up and it's good, or it doesn't, you know? Like, yeah, there's all kinds of problems with that. Like, it's just, yeah, you feel like very unwanted. That's like probably the more common like male problem with dating. But where was I going with that? What the fuck? It's not like either of these problems negate the other, right? They're just different. They're just different issues. And you can definitely say, if you want to do the whole feminism thing, like with the women's issue, it's obviously harder because you have to be safer. Like you might get assaulted and all that shit. That doesn't take away from the fact that men have their own unique problems when it comes to like romance and relationships that need different solutions, and they require different advice and different ways to deal with them, you know? Where are women finding all these weirdos if they're ignoring the vast majority of men? Well, that's the thing. When a woman's on a dating app, she has to like filter so much. Like the reason women are picky on dating apps is because of their experiences, right? I don't think women are picky just because they're like, well, I'm a woman, you know? Everyone wants my fanny, so I'm just going to keep swiping until I get the 10 out of 10 fucking model, actor, millionaire. No, it's because they've had bad experiences it's because they've had to learn 17 different fucking red flags to get through before they can go on a fucking date. Like that's probably more realistic. Knowing when to ask someone out, like, I don't know. I don't think there's a wrong time to. Why is there a wrong time to ask someone out? If they're in a relationship, it's probably a bad time, but otherwise. The only advice I give men is pay attention to what makes them happy and then follow through with that. I mean, that's like a personal thing, right? Like with what, like hobbies and shit like that. Or do you mean with women? Like if you're dating someone, find out what they like and follow through with that. That's a thing I've heard people do. I've heard people will, people who are happy and content are more attractive. Well, yeah, that's the whole thing, yeah. Yeah, I mean, you do have to, like, you have to be fairly okay with yourself before you go out like looking for a relationship or something. Yeah, of course you should be. You should never be like fucking hinging your well-being on whether or not some other person likes you. Like the only person at the end of the day who can make you feel good about yourself is you, right? Because the only person you can rely on at the end of the day is you. You can get all the validation in the like, and that's the problem with a lot of these like red pill types is like, you can tell that so much of their validation and their status depends on how women see them, right? Like higher body count. What does that mean? That means someone else. If you're like proud, if part of your like self-confidence comes from your body count, that's like, well, that's because other people have had to like, you've depended on other people's validation so that you can feel good about yourself. That's a really fucked up way to be, because anyone who can give that to you, anyone who can give that sense of like confidence or self-esteem and all that, like they can take it away from you as well. At the end of the day, you have to be able to just go to bed at the end of the day. I'm so British. You have to be able to just go to bed and be like, you, Sigma bot, you're all right, you know? Maybe this person doesn't think so, or that person like, nah, yeah, you're okay. It's fine. We'll same thing tomorrow, you know? I don't know, like there are ways to get like, I don't know, to make dating like easier or to like maybe more guarantee them to like you or whatever. But it's all like, I don't know, it feels kind of manipulative, right? Like I've always noticed that people don't necessarily find you interesting because of like the things that you talk about or that you say or whatever. I've always found that like if I dating someone or just talking to someone, I've always found that the people, they seem to get the most out of the conversation if I just let them speak most of the time, or just like ask questions about what they've been talking to me about. That's like a big problem with people. Like people just like love talking about themselves or their own shit. So if you want someone to think you're like a good conversationalist or that you get them or that you have stuff in common and all that, just listen to what they're saying and just riff off of it. You don't really need to give away that much of yourself at all, which is like, I don't know, that's manipulative though. Like if you just pay attention to what they like and just play into that, I think it maybe is a bit of like a manipulation tactic, but which is why I don't do it. But it does like, it can be a start. Yeah. Just don't lie. Well, yeah, the stoned abbot, blower conks. Who's your favorite Beatle? I don't know, probably John. Sorry for the basic answer. I do have I guess when I was playing a lot of drums and getting really into recording drums for the first time, Ringo was absolutely my favorite because he is a much better drummer than people make him out to be. Because he knew how to make his drums actually sound good. He knew to tune his drums and to like do things to them to make them sound good. And he knew how to do good parts, even if they were not very difficult. I think also just accept that not every female interaction you have, even if it's a date, is necessarily going to lead to something like sex or kissing or whatever. Like, because sometimes you might just not get along with them. Like there might just not be a spark there. And that's no one's fault. It's not like you did anything wrong. And sometimes there definitely will be, you know? Okay, let's go back to this video.
Just come on here and try to make their loneliness and misery into some social justice issue. Oh, trust me, men are still kicking the bucket. And when they're not giving mind-blowing advice like just to be a liberal, they're outright dismissing men's issues completely. It's not our job to educate them. Since men created the problem, they need to take steps to fix it.
Bro. Is this one of those reformed alt-writers who used to say this about black crime rates? Fuck me. Ugh. Michelle, thanks for the £5. Acting like a sociopath. Bad. Yes.
We have other things to care about. Men can figure out their own problems that they created. Again, it's not women's jobs to change how men are socialized. It's a man issue and y'all need to address that amongst yourselves. Men created their own problems. Men can solve their own problems. The left is busy. Why does the well-being of other people concern me? Leftist, by the way. It's all systemic issues and societal factors and blah 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 until it's a man and then suddenly it's pull yourselves up by your bootstraps. This problem is just a consequence of the patriarchy.
Oh no. Am I shooing? Oh no. Oh god. Fuck's sake. Why did this happen? I used to fucking hate Shoeing Head, you know that? I still disagree with her on a lot, but it's just weird, like, hearing something that I said coming from... Oh no. Oh god. I'm gonna have to marry her now, obviously.
Take a wild guess about which gender created.
I'm gonna have to. But don't people call her husband, her boyfriend? No, don't people call her boyfriend a Nazi? I don't know why. Is he, or is he just like a right winger? If I had to guess, I'm gonna guess that he's just a right winger, but people call him a Nazi for some reason. But don't take my word. I haven't looked into it. I'm just guessing.
The patriarchy. Solve your own problems and leave women alone. These people rightly mock the bootstraps rhetoric until the subject is a man, and then it's bootstraps all the way down. They would never talk about any other group this way. It's wild. And it's kind of like both sides are telling men to pull themselves up by their bootstraps, but one is like, I'll show you how, and the other is like, fuck off. And when they're not telling men to straight up off, they're giving the 200 IQ answer that nobody has ever heard before. Just show your emotions, bro. And I'm not dismissing this problem, okay? I've made videos talking about this. Oh, you're crying at your grandfather's funeral? Okay, faggot. And studies have shown that men are scared to be vulnerable, even around the homies. And can you blame them when the media says stupid like this? Fellas, is it woke to open up to your fellow men and discuss history? Men are socialized to believe strength, dominance,
I will say, I was so lucky that when I was a teenager, like, there were a couple of older guys that I hung out with who were, like, quite well-adjusted and had good relationships with people and all that. Like, and the fact that I could just ask them, like, anything and they would, like, talk me through it. Like, that was, I don't think many men have that. I think that was quite lucky to have that social circle when I was younger. Anyway, men are socialized to believe strength, dominance, and stoicism. Oh, she's gonna say it.
Stoicism are behaviors of a real man. Is it any surprise that men are lonely and have less friends nowadays? You have to be vulnerable to make friends. Don't tell me there aren't systemic problems affecting men. Now, while a lot of this may be true, men have been socialized this way for centuries, and this is all relatively a new phenomena. Toxic masculinity has existed forever. If anything, there's less toxic masculinity nowadays. The cultural embrace of, like, gender nonconformity, femboys, Harry Styles in a dress, Barbie movie, blah 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 blah. My point is, toxic masculinity did not just appear in the mid-2010s. But social media did, and the internet did, and the rise of dating apps did, and the housing crisis, and living in a country where the wealth inequality is worse than it was during the Gilded Age. That all happened recently. Oh my god, the privileged life these poor little boys must have, that their biggest problem is being lonely, i.e. so insufferable that nobody wants to sleep with them. So much more pressing than the poor distribution of wealth causing people to suffer food and housing insecurity. Boo-hoo, you're lonely and have no friends and are suicidal, wah. Because feeling alienated under capitalism apparently isn't a thing. People are working harder and longer while wages have been stagnant, men have been dropping out of college like flies, and what does that get you? Poor men. Which, since women are doing amazing in college now, and many are now out-earning men, this most of the time leads to single men, which then leads to lonely men, which leads to depressed men, which leads to the high rate. In my opinion, leftism at a policy level does a great job addressing the shitty material conditions that in part lead to the problems that men are facing, but then absolutely drops the ball when it comes to everything and anything related to men's cultural issues. Many such cases. And why would a struggling man even want to move left when the left appears actively hostile to them?
The question of whether or not the hashtag online left does enough to appeal to hashtag men has become the question du jour. And like, men have most of the money, authority, and do most of the murdering and assaulting.
The average young man in America is—
Bro. Most of the money in the... can you imagine? Can you imagine being like a sort of on the fence, suggestible young dude, you know? You're getting rejected at fucking work. You're underachieving at school, or college. You're working for fuck all in a dead end job. You're getting humiliated by your boss every other day because you fucked up. You've got like probably some undiagnosed like mental health issue that you can't get fucking seen in time for because of the waiting lists or through the like. And then you go online and this fucking YouTuber says that you have all the power and authority and state it. Okay. Whoa, bro. Whoa. Well, thanks. Thanks, friend.
Isn't Jeff Bezos. Also, why did this motherfucker just FBI crime statistics at me? Men do the most murder. Okay?
Hey, I said that. Oh, God. Oh, no. Oh, no. Anyway.
They like having all of the stuff they don't deserve. They like that. They want it to stay that way because it suits them. Because of the stuff? Telling people.
Fucking imagine someone seeing this. You know, the workers' rights, the fucking man on the poster and all that shit. It's like, you just like having all the stuff you deserve. The stuff you don't deserve. What? The minimum wage, the fucking debt, the rent issues, the scrupulous landlord, the boss who treats you like, yeah, you like having all that stuff you don't deserve. What do these men deserve? Pure Copium, thanks for the €2. Step 1, go to Bulgaria. Step 2, your kidney is stolen. Wow. It's so funny that people who want it, like, this is the problem. When you try to draw the anti-men line, you know what you also become? You become anti-worker, because men are half the fucking workers. You inevitably drift into becoming anti-worker when you pull this anti-men shit. Like, they like having all the stuff they don't deserve. Bro, they're half of the proletariat. Shit.
People they're special and deserve all the nice shit that they have. That's going to be an easier sell 10 times out of 10 than like saying, hey, maybe you should have less stuff and other people should have more.
Leftism is when you don't have a lot of stuff. We're gonna take your stuff. You sound like a 60...
Off topic, but I've had experiences where I'm potentially making friends with a man, and as soon as he realizes I'm not interested like that, literally no effort is put in after. Yeah, I don't think I try not to do this thing where people shift the responsibility onto like women, like, because that's really dumb, but yeah. It's a thing, like, because men have this fucking really weird polarity, you know, where on the one hand, like a woman who might fuck you is the top priority in your life and deserves all the attention in the world, and a woman who might want to be your friend but doesn't want to fuck you is like the least important thing. There's no middle ground, you know. There's no like just treating someone like a person. Yeah, obviously, yeah. I think that a lot of that comes from maybe like impatience or I don't know.
5-year-old Fox News boomer's idea of what the left is. Are you a CIA agent? The right is saying to men, you will own a house. You will have beautiful children with your loving wife. You will have privacy. You will have free speech. You will own things, and you will be happy. And the left is like...
They like having all of the stuff they don't deserve.
But don't get me wrong, Republicans will not do shit. The Republican Party will not do shit. The establishment in general will not do shit to help any of this. But the right is, at least rhetorically, offering men something other than nothing or the eternal HR department. Every time this Discord comes up, there's people like, we need a leftist Andrew Tate. We need masculine role models on the left. But the fact is, it's hard for progressives to organically appeal to men, because a large part of progressivism is oppressive hierarchies, and men are oppressors. Making progressivism look appealing to young men is an uphill battle from the start. And although it's funny to laugh at insane people on Twitter, as always, there have been a lot of left-wing content creators talking about men's issues. If you would have told me this would be a thing 9 years ago, I would not believe you, because anyone talking about men's issues back in the day was called an MRA or a pick-me. But lately I have seen a lot of good pro-men lefty content, and I'll put some links to some below. I don't agree with all the points they say, but I recommend watching. It's much better than...
They like having all of the stuff they don't deserve.
But the issue is a lot of this lefty pro-men content, it's always...
I don't know, every time it just sets me off. Okay.
Framed around, how do we get them? As if men are just pawns and tools for your personal politics. How do we make the left more appealing to men? How do we stop lonely men from...
From what I've seen, Destiny and Vosh give fairly decent advice for people finding friends and shit. Okay, so I don't care much for this stuff myself because I'm a Sigma male. I am a loner. I am endearing. I am smart. I am the envy of my entire social circle. But like for anyone else, you know, who's not Sigma, you can just like, from what I hear from people I know, the best places to find like social groups are usually like outdoor activity stuff, you know, like fucking kayaking, or like someone mentioned in chat, like a hiking group, or like canoeing and like that kind of stuff. I don't know. I always hear like stories that come out of groups like that where people just seem to like have pretty good experiences, you know? For me, it was easy. Like I was a musician, you know, so I just went to music stuff. Done, you know? And I also like alcohol. So like, or I did more than I do now, but like doing that too. So that's how I met people. But I think, wasn't it like Erudite who said something about like rock climbing? Yeah, I think stuff like that is really good for it, yeah. Sports teams, yeah. If you're not into that, like, I don't know, fucking... Gaming stuff is actually, like, here's something that is good about today that didn't exist when I was a kid, is fucking gaming clubs. Like, that wasn't a thing because gamers, when I was young, were just like disgusting fucking Powerade chugging basement dwelling degenerate fucks who were all racist and like 4chan trolls. Like, no one liked them. That's very different now, though, because lots of women play video games now as well. Like, there was a gaming society in the university I went to, and I was asked to join it. Yeah, like... Fucking book groups. Find a leftist group. Find a protest, like an activist group. Find a Marxist activist group. If you don't want to do any activism, just join a Marxist activist group where you'll just sit around and talk about theory all day. Like, is it that hard to find those things these days? I feel like it isn't. Warhammer community, yeah. I did a bit of that when I was a kid, but not when I was of boning age. It's not easy to find that stuff. Okay, fuck me. Really? It's hard to start. You don't need to start them, though. You just need to find them. If you're a student, I don't think you have an excuse. Is that too harsh? I don't think so. Because there were so many student societies, even in the shitty university that I went to. Like, there was so much going on. I just didn't care that much for it because I'm a Sigma male. Like, once you're out of university or you're a bit older, woo. Hang on. Why did I go into Firefox? That's where I look at all my personals. Oh yeah, hang on. I wonder, is there a chess club where I live? Yeah, there is. There's like a few. Chess Society? Can you join the Chess Society if you're not a student? You probably... There were a lot of those that you could join. I know there were a few... There was one student society that I was part of that had like a bunch of old people there. Like a kind of mix. Yeah, you can ask. I don't fancy fucking around with students though, to be honest. No, yeah, there is... There's a few. There are many, many. There's a chess club near me meeting every Sunday. I would love to go, but I can't get myself out of the house, GG. Okay. Don't know what to say about that, unfortunately. Yeah, I think Facebook still has a lot of these things. In the US, it would be harder because you can't walk anywhere. That's true. I can walk anywhere, so that's the whole thing.
Moving to Andrew Tate, instead of just how do we help men. And I think that's a really big issue. Both sides seem to treat men as political fodder, disposable soldiers in the culture war and real war. Anyway, misandry is real. Okay.
How do you learn humor? You reference jokes that have already been said. People like repetition is funny. If there's like an in joke, just refer back to it. And watch Seinfeld, true.
Good, finally.
I don't know if I can do this bit like on stream, but one thing I always used to do with people that would always work is I would just say repetition is funny. Repetition's funny. And that would give you so much mileage. That could get you through a whole night. Fucking just out of fucking nowhere. Drop it for like 2 hours and just bring it back. Like, here, that's what I'm gonna tell you. Repetition's funny. Like, it works. Yeah.
And while it doesn't...
Yeah, comedians know that as well. They repeat. Do you know how stand-up comedians always refer back to old jokes? Like in shows? Yeah. Misandry is real, and while it doesn't systematically affect cis men, it most certainly affects trans men. Where do these people come from?
Systemically affects cis men, it most certainly affects trans men. Oh. Y'all talking about misandry doesn't harm men, and trans men are right there reading this shit, by the way. I see, now we only care about misandry because it affects trans men. Everyone stop! It's affecting a group I care about now. I love how the rhetoric just like evolved overnight from male tears to cis male tears. And I just have to ask, why aren't you including trans men in your misandry,
Oh.
Nobody told me how lonely being a man is. We knew what depth felt like before we transitioned. We knew what it felt like to like have people want to hug us and to have people want to talk to us and to have a community. And then you transition and you're just a guy walking down the street that people cross the street so that they're not near you. And friendships are so much harder to build. Whoa. What's hard is none of this invalidates how real and raw women and people who are in marginalized groups feel about cis white men. All of that's valid. But I also now understand why the suicide rate is so much higher in men.
Welcome to being a man. Here's your complimentary isolation and yellow pillow. I love how even when he's experiencing the issues of being a man, he's like, this doesn't invalidate people hating men. Come on, bro. Men struggling don't want to be lectured about the patriarchy. They don't want to be told it's all their fault. They don't want to be told they're part of the problem because first of all, they're not. The average 20-year-old didn't build society. They go to work, come home, off to sissy hypno fetish porn, and go to bed like everyone else. I've talked about this before, but a lot of men's value comes from the...
I hate how monotone Shu is. Are you fucking kidding me? Is Shu monotone? What the fuck? What's wrong with your Are you tone deaf? Do these two notes sound exactly like the same to you, or you can't tell which one's higher or lower? You know, isn't that weird that like a tone like if in case you're wondering if you're tone deaf, like tone deaf people can't actually tell you if one note is higher or lower between like these. How weird is that? Tone deafness is actually very rare. Anyway. How do you watch me if Shu is too monotone for you? Holy shit.
Money they make, unfortunately. Men are natural providers, and if they have nobody to provide for, they get into findom or send random girls on the internet money. I'm just kidding, but the fact is, a lot of men simply feel like they don't have a purpose anymore. Whether a job or a career that's fulfilling and pays well, or a woman or family to protect and take care of and provide for, men are lacking purpose. And a man will crawl through broken glass for a purpose. But you know who does make them feel like they have a purpose? No, not him.
I say that life as a man is exceptionally difficult. I say the most beautiful and the most terrifying thing about being a man is you're born without value. Society doesn't care about you.
The absolute audacity to act shocked that Andrew Tate is scooping these
He
guys
talks like a fucking drill instructor. It's so funny.
Up after a decade of lol male tears is insane. Andrew Tate isn't the solution to men's problems, but he is talking to them. The fact is, you did not care about them for years, and even now you just want to recruit them, not help them. And that's why you will fail. And hey, maybe I'll be the Andrew Tate of the left. Men, listen up. Wash your penis. So I guess I'll leave you guys with a question. Why do you think male loneliness has been increasing? What are your solutions for this problem? And are you dealing with loneliness? And I will see you guys next time with a new video. Bye!
You know, I've had people tell me that not only are mental health services very, very sparse right now with the NHS, but also that even going private is like a closed option for some issues. That like people who tried to go private are getting referred to people who are fully booked and they have to go to like different cities and shit. That's really scary. That's so fucking scary. Ugh. One of the videos she links is Vosh reacting to Thought Slime. Oh yeah, who are the emotional objectification of men? Who did this? Why won't it give me like a preview?
Let's take a break.
Ah! I don't know you. Sean. This is a Sean video.
Hello, everyone.
This video was actually good. Apart from when he says read bell hooks and doesn't explain why. That was really annoying. Why did fucking leftists tell you to read bell hooks and they can't just fucking tell you what bell hooks said? It's not like the Will to Change is a long book. It's pretty short. Fuck. All right, I know. Thoughts. Vosh twice. What's this one? Stop victim blaming men.
Let's talk about something we don't talk about too often.
Oh, it's Shark. Nice one. 55k views. Not bad. The first video was the one that you sent me. What's up? I don't think it is. This one.
I used to make almost...
Why I stopped making political content. Okay. Oh. I'll put that on the list. We have other things. We have other fish to fry right now. There are 200 viewers. That's a lot more than yesterday. Thanks, guys. Whoa, 200. That's like a reasonable stream. Okay, do I have to comment on the shoe video? Yeah, it was good. Why did she get in trouble for that? I don't understand. Why did people say that she was being like fascist for making that video? Was it really? Was it really that bad? Like, what? Anyway, whatever. Probably not. Just because it was men stuff. Probably people didn't watch the video. I think FD Signifier did to a react, but I didn't see it. Well, you know what? I don't think I'm going to watch it either. I'm going to fuck. Okay. Cool. Well done, guys. The thing is, I feel like I would I feel like I would have a lot more to say about this topic if I knew exactly what the more common issues were amongst my audience, because I just don't know. For male loneliness, there are so many different stages of it. You know, you can have a pretty big social circle and still feel lonely as a man, because of the type of friendships you're part of, or because you're only good at making friends but not partners, like, or because even getting out your fucking door is a problem, right? There's a wide range. It's a very wide range. Or there was a problem I sometimes had when I was younger, like where I wouldn't even have a problem with relationships. I could get I would have women who liked me, and like we would get on and all that, and like, or we would maybe see each other for a little while. But as soon as I ever like found someone like particularly special, I would get kind of like, I would build it up too much and then flop it. Like that happened a couple of times, so that I couldn't really like get into a proper relationship, because every time I like really liked someone enough, like I just kind of fucked it. But again, that's just like a confidence thing, or like just a loop you have to get out of. So I don't know. Send you a different video from, oh, okay. Oh yeah, you did. Yeah, the Burger Krieg, yeah. Anyway, whatever. Maybe I'll read comments more often, or maybe I'll have call-ins and I'll just see, because as someone who grew up on the internet like pretty early, like I spent with like I was terminally online when no one was terminally online, okay? Like 2004, 5, 6, like being terminally online was like, there was like one person in the class who was terminally online, and it was me. At the very least, hey, if you guys are just like getting all your social stuff online and all that shit, like at least there are people around you who are the same, right? Like that was not the same when I was a teenager. Holy shit. Like you stood out if you were on the internet too much as a kid, like when I was younger. So, hey, the very least there's that. Okay, fuck, we're moving on. All right, well done, guys. Bye-bye.